No, but we've got another show, another one you directed every single episode of, and it's long run on television, and it's quite a groundbreaking show. It really made a difference in attitudes in this country, and I think, in a lot of ways, but it was a hilarious comedy. And why don't I just bring them out? You'll know who they are. Will and Grace and Karen are here. Eric McCormick, Deborah Messing, and Megan Mullally. Hi. Hello.
Oh my God, she's so cold.
Look at the Jimmy. This is so great, honey.
This, you directed every episode. I don't think I ever missed one of Will and Grace. That show was good from the first episode to your final episode. It never lost the quality, and it was just so great.
Every single episode. That was the amazing thing. And I don't think that was the first time, right? That you. I think it may be the first time anyone's ever done that.
Yeah.
It was so incredible.
How did that come about that you decided to do that?
Well, every Tuesday night I would grab my crotch a number of It was.
Sometimes laughing.
Yeah. I thought Newhart was gone. No, it was just probably the funniest show I ever did. It was the jokes were off the world, out of this world. It was a fairy tale, literally and figuratively, and. And it was just, a lot of the references were references that I didn't get. I had to ask my wife a lot. I remember in the pilot, because they would change jokes between the takes, and Deb came in, and then Max much said to Sean, say, here, oh, it's Sporty Spice. And I turned to my wife and I said, she said, trust me, because she knew the reference. I had no idea what a Spice Girl was. And it got a big laugh. So even though I didn't, the boys who wrote it, Max and David, were, I was working hard in the 80s. They were growing up in the 80s. So the jokes were just through the roof, on that show.
It's amazing. Eric, this must have been a dream job for you to do this show.
Oh, totally. And I think I auditioned 6 times before I got to this level, and I didn't even know about that until right before it was like, they have to see you one more time. I said, really, one more time? He said, yeah, Jim Burrows needs to see you. And I fell over and wet my pants. That changed the game. Knowing that he was on board made it that kind of show, and it was incredibly exciting. And then once I was on board, we had to find Grace. Everybody wanted her, but it was a month before we even took the chance because she was not available. But the story I love to tell is at your house, we finally got down to 3 Graces. There was really only one, but I didn't know we hadn't worked together. We hadn't met, and one girl came in, and they couldn't know about each other, right? There was this whole espionage thing that we had to keep it so the girls.
You're the only one reading today.
On a Sunday at Jim Burrows' house, and Warren Littlefield was there, and all the network says, and this one girl came in, and it was okay, and then Nicolette Sheridan came in to read for Grace, and she was wearing the tightest pants you'd ever seen. And she and I did this thing which was clearly not meant to be the show, and we finished, and she said, anybody, anything, any thoughts? And Jim Burrows said, next time wear tighter pants.
Oh my God. Only you could get away with that line.
And then this one comes in, and there was a TV show.
What about for you, Deborah? This,
Oh, it was all surreal because I was on another TV show, the very, very popular drama Prey on ABC, where I played a bioanthropologist. I'm sure everybody knows it. Yeah. And I was exhausted, and I remember going to his house and thinking, oh my God, I'm in Jim Burrows' house. This is Jim Burrows. My whole life, all I've wanted is to work with Jim Burrows. And I was so intimidated. And then we went in and we played, and we had the best time together because he put us at ease immediately. And he walked me out to the car, and he's like, "You gotta do the show." And I was like, "Jimmy, I don't know. I don't know." He goes, "You're never gonna find a show as good as this one. You gotta do the show." And he was right. Thank God. Thank God. It was changed. Obviously, it's changed my life. It changed all of our lives.
Changed a lot of lives. Megan, I mean, for you, you and Sean, also, Sean couldn't be here. He's got another show now, but, which you did the pilot of, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, Sean Saves the World.
Right.
You just directed that pilot.
Had a great time.
Yeah. But what was this like for you, playing Karen?
Well, I originally auditioned for Grace, and they were like, no. And so I went home and forgot all about it. And then 2 weeks later, my agent called and said, I had an audition for Will and Grace. And I said, I already auditioned for that, dumbass. And she was like, no, for a different part, dumbass. And I said, oh. So I read it, and I thought, well, I don't know. And then I thought, well, maybe if I played around with it a little bit. And then I went in, and I had met Jimmy once before because I did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying on Broadway. And I had met Jimmy after the show because his dad famously wrote the book for it. And I thought Jimmy was a little intimidating, and I too soiled myself. Just a tad. But
Now
then,
available on eBay.
yes. Then I did go in and audition for the role of Karen, which in the pilot was, you know, one scene, I think. And very different from what it became later. The role was very different in the pilot. And Jimmy was extremely gracious and wonderful, and we just had so much fun. Like we did 196 episodes, I think, and every week we just laughed our asses off. And Jimmy and I can just remember specifically, like, so many times that we just worked out physical business, like the thing they showed, approved, denied, approved.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that like it was yesterday. We came up with that bit, and all of the slap fights with me and Sean, like choreographing those, and it was just so much fun to, woo, wow. Darth Vader. It was just so much fun to work out all that physical comedy and everything else, and I hadn't really ever done comedy on that level and never really thought of myself as being particularly amusing. So you brought that out in me, because I was almost 40 when we started that show.
I couldn't believe all the stuff you got away with on this show. I mean, did NBC have censors at that time?
We did break some...
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we fought for me to say, to lean over an aisle in a church and say, "Eat meat," a Minnie Driver. And we got it in.
Well, it was also the bit where Minnie Driver was stealing stuff from Costanza died,
and it came out of her.
And Megan just kept going, and she just kept taking up bracelets, rings, and finally she just stood up and just, very short skirt, and just spread her legs and out dropped.
Wait,
diamond
bracelet, like a diamond
Silverware.
not over.
Silverware.
Out dropped something else, and then I said, one more, and then another one dropped from her butt.
Is that a quadruple
That
threat?
would
Is
never.
all that?
They would never let that now, would they?
Oh, sure.
Sure they
Oh,
would.
yeah.
Everything's a lot dirtier now than it was then.
Will and Grace paved the way.
Well-
I mean, definitely, you took it to a
Something to be
different
proud
level.
of.
Again, it was...
Jewelry falling out of people's butts.
Yeah, Will and Grace was a fantasy, you know? I mean, it was, you know, I called it a fairy tale, but it was a fantasy in a strange kind of way. And it was good that we couldn't use the actual words because the euphemisms were so much funnier than the words.
Yeah.
It was just, we got away with a lot, but it was all in good fun.
Yeah.
The crucial thing to a show like that is the way Jimmy works, which is that from 10 o'clock on, say, a Thursday and Friday, from 10 o'clock till about 1 when the writers see the show, we're in this magic little sandbox, and it was just, it's us and the props guys, and, we're not shooting it yet, so we can work it out, and Jim can throw stuff at us, and we can throw stuff back, and it really was, that's my greatest memory, is just how relaxed you always were and allowed us to be.
But also, you just said something from 10 o'clock until 1. Okay, that's the other thing about Jimmy. he needs to
He
get
had
to
a
the
golf
golf
game.
course.
He had a golf game too.
We
So
worked a total of we had like a 20-hour work week. So it was a pretty good job.
Look what, yeah, but what was on the screen? That was, you know.
Yeah, well, the writing. I mean, even our worst script, I think, was better
Halloween
than
one?
a lot of shows' best scripts. What?
The Halloween one?
Stone soup.
Stone.
oh, Stone Soup.
But speaking of how Jim works, my favorite Jim Burrows story, it was in the end of the first season, and I stayed on the lot a little longer than usual, and it was like 3 o'clock, and I saw Jimmy. And I, what's he doing here? He should be on a golf course. I said, Jimmy, what are you doing? He said, I was just talking to the boys about what we're going to do with your character next year. And I said, next year? I like the sound of that. And he said, Jesus Christ, McCormack, buy a house.
Oh my God. I have a funny story of that ilk. I met my now husband, Nick Offerman, right between the second and third seasons of Will and Grace. And I think the third season, after things had really gotten going, we decided to take a trip to Paris on our Christmas hiatus. And so I had been living in the same duplex in West Hollywood for 16 years, and when I found out how much plane tickets to Paris were, Nick found out, and he was like, "Oh no, we're not gonna fly first class because it was thousands of dollars," and so we decided we were gonna fly coach, and so Jimmy somehow learned that fact during rehearsal one day and came in the next morning and said, "Honey," and I can't do Jimmy as well as you can, but. Here, I'll give you the line and you say Okay, I'm going to set it up. Okay, and he's going to be Jimmy. So
That's
will
it.
you stand for it? Yes. Who's directing now? So Jimmy the next day said that he had gone home to his wife, Deb, and thrown open the door and dropped his briefcase. Oh, no, actually, Deb told me this later. Threw the door open, front door, drops his briefcase on the ground and yells out,
Megan's flying coach.
Eric McCormack, Deborah Messing, and Megan Mullally.
Oh, am I going to see you later?
That's great.
"Oh, yeah, baby."
Thanks.
Good try.
Thanks. Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Yes. Thanks, man. Okay. That is funny.